Welcome back to this week's study in the Sermon on the Mount. This week we'll be looking at Matthew 7:21 through 23. So please join me as we read. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name perform many miracles? Then I will tell them plainly, I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers. Jean Eugene Robert Houdin is regarded the first of the great showman magicians. His skills were so great that when France was having problems with the beginning of an uprising in their colony of Algeria, they called on him for help. In Algeria, there was a group of Muslim magicians called marabouts who were stirring up trouble. It was decided that Robert Houdin could not only unmask the tricks of magicians, but show that the French had more powerful magic. One trick was particularly convincing. Calling a large, muscular man to the stage, he asked him if he could lift a small box that was sitting in front of him. The man easily lifted it over his head. After putting it down, Robert Houdin challenged him. I will make you as weak as one of your wives. Then he told him again to lift it. The man reached down as before, but was surprised he could not move it. He grabbed it with two hands and pulled it with all his might. Nothing. He continued to put the box, but the box would not budge. He tried everything. He was determined. He tried again, but this time could not move it at all. And he cried out, and he was writhing in pain. What the man did not know is that the night before, Robert Houdin had rigged the small metal box with a strong electromagnet beneath it. And once the magnet was turned on, the box was immovable. And the final time when the man grabbed it, Robert Houdin flipped a switch to allow an electric current to flow, giving the man his first electric shock. Robert Houdin had fooled the people into thinking that the power in his hands, when it was entirely something different. Now, after Jesus had talked about false prophets, he now moved to talking about counterfeit believers among the genuine believers. Unlike the false prophets, the counterfeits believe and proclaim all the right doctrines and beliefs. They do not question the Bible or seek to put some new twist on the teachings of the Bible or on Christian beliefs. Now, it's important for us to grasp this about counterfeit believers. In fact, they often accomplish a great deal of good. Correct belief is important. Having an education and studying the original languages of the Bible is praiseworthy, and we are glad for each person who gives themselves to the discipline of study. The danger is that a person can learn historical context, the shades of meaning of language, the fine points of doctrine, and still miss connection with the Lord. There was an interesting scene in one of the Star Trek The Next Generation episodes. Data, an android who desperately wanted to be human, played violin. When talking with Captain Picard about his flawless performance, Data shared that although his playing was technically proficient, he had been told by his fellow performers that he lacked soul. And that is a problem when someone believes all the right things, but they have not put their heart into it, or rather allow the Lord to enter into their hearts. In the same way, a person can involve themselves in all aspects of ministry, from music to pastoral care to preaching. A layman can teach a Sunday school class, serve as a deacon or local officer, and faithfully give his tithe. A minister can visit, work with his church staff, preach well, research his sermons, preside over a growing congregation. These are all good things. And in fact, they're very good things. But it is dangerous possibly to do them in a mechanical way, by rote, or because it's expected that this or that should be done. But service that is rendered from a heart that has not been surrendered is only what it appears to be in the moment of what is done, and it's nothing more. We must also realize that this can be a sin for a whole congregation. A church can have a range of helpful programs, community outreach, flawless music, and warm fellowship. The services can be scripted as seamless performances that leave those in the audience breathless. frankly, folks, it can be show business and really pretty spectacular show business. There can even be a feeling of joy and such anticipation that people hate to miss a service from week to week. But the question is, are lives being changed? Is there growth in the believers? Would it be if that church was swallowed up by the earth, would there be any sense of loss from its spiritual impact? Would it be that people would pass by that place where that church was and scratch their heads and say, "I wonder what used to be there. What happened to that? I don't remember." Unfortunately, there is not an officer or a preacher or a soldier or a layman or a laywoman that is not in danger of the performance mentality. There's not a denomination that does not risk having congregations of this sort, or a corps or a church that doesn't devolve to the level of a little theater community concert group or performance thing. Dietrich Bonhoeffer challenges, here we are at last. Here's a secret we have been waiting for since the Sermon on the Mount began. Here's a crucial question. Has Jesus known us or not? Let's read that again. Here we are at last. Here's a secret we have been waiting for since the Sermon on the Mount began. Here's a crucial question. Has Jesus known us or not? The sad thing is that too many will not realize how far off the mark they have been until the day of judgment when they face the Lord. They will cry out, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and in your name drive out demons and in your name perform many miracles? The anguish of that moment is almost too much to imagine. Did we not? Did we not? Did we not? His pronouncement to them uh, shouts finality. I never knew you. Oh, wait for me, you evildoers. We must realize we cannot really do the work of Christ without the Spirit of Christ. We cannot work for the Lord day and night and still not be His. In the end, it will matter that we are truly His more than the programs and the evaluations we present. Counterfeit money looks real, it feels real, and it can fool many people, but in the end, it is worthless. And so are counterfeit Christians. Make sure, my friends, that your experience with Christ is real. Make sure that you are a real Christian, not a counterfeit, not a pretend, but the real thing, so the Lord will say, well done, my good and faithful servant, and not away with you. That's the challenge. God bless you.